you didn't choose that option because it was the best option. You chose it because of what was placed right next to it, before it or after it. Now look at it this way. Nobody told you that you were manipulated to choose that option. It is called contrast effect bias. Contrast effects bias. That's number 13 in our 225 plus bias series. My name is Cussons, Africa's premium high performance thinking and strategic execution consultant. Now, we've been building a razor sharp mind through this series, and today's bias is one that sales professionals, negotiators, and marketers have been weaponizing against consumers, against clients, against you for decades. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it, and I hope you don't. And once you understand it, you can use it ethically. You can use it ethically to transform your income. So let's go over to it. Contrast bias. What is it? What is it not? How does it affect you in your business? How does it affect you in your relationship? So, contrast bias is the tendency to evaluate something not by its actual value, but by comparing it to what is immediately beside it. Your brain does not have an internal measuring system, an internal measuring scale. It can only measure in relation to what it knows. So, your brain doesn't operate independently. It is a comparison machine. It sizes everything up relative to something else. Now, think about beauty. Okay, so you say somebody is beautiful. Why do you say the person is beautiful? In comparison to the people around that person. If you take somebody that you think is beautiful and then you take the person to where beauty queens are, the person may not be as beautiful because of the persons he or she is comparing with or competing with. It even happens in classes. Sometimes in a class, you can see somebody take first position and have 76% average, and you see another person take fifth position and has 89% average because of the people he or she is competing with. So whoever controls what sits next to your options control what you choose. That's what we call it contrast effect bias. So place something average next to something terrible. That average thing looks excellent. Now place something excellent next to something extraordinary. It suddenly looks average. Something different neighborhood, different neighbors, different competitions. What happens? Completely different perceptions. That's why you need to be very careful. So when we look at our businesses and the application, so let's think of a real estate agent. He she wants to sell a mid-range house at a strong price. So before showing you the target property, she first makes the client see other properties that are overpriced, maybe two or three run down overpriced houses that are clearly not worth the asking price, but it's showing you that to prime and program you and give you context for the other one. By the time the client walks into the third house, the one she actually or he actually wants you to buy, it feels like a palace. But it's not a palace, but comparing to what you've seen before. So the price feels like a bargain. The client is ready to sign before the tour is even finished. So the house didn't change. The contrast changed everything. Now look at your own business. Smart pricing strategy uses this all the time. And how can you use it? So when you offer three pricing or tiers, for instance, you have a basic, you have a standard, and you have a premium. Your middle option suddenly looks like the most reasonable. Now the point is, when you look at the first one, you may not like the pricing. I mean, the person who wants to buy may not like the pricing because it is so basic. You look at the third one, it is good, probably what you want to buy, but it is overpriced. And you look at the third, yeah, you find that this third has a lot of the first and a lot of the second, third. And then this middle option, that is the second option, sorry, this second option appears now attractive. So this wasn't because it is objectively the best offer. No, not at all. The point is the contrast between the lowest price and the highest makes the middle feel safe and smart. So when you go to restaurants, you're going to see they put an outrageously priced item at the top of the menu. I mean, restaurants who use the contrast effect, they put the highly priced item at the top of the menu. Not to sell it anyways, but to make everything else look affordable by contrast. The same in relationships. Some come out of a painful toxic relationship. They've experienced consistent disrespect, consistent emotional unavailability, consistent manipulation, consistent gaslighting, consistent, then they meet someone new, someone who is simply decent, nothing extraordinary. This person calls them when they say they will call them, they show up, they speak kindly. Not because this guy is extraordinary, this lady is extraordinary, but by contrast, this new person feels like an absolute saint, a dream come true, the answer to every prayer. The best thing is sliced bread. Okay? But is this person truly exceptional? Or do they simply look extraordinary against the backdrop of what came before, what this woman or this man had come out of? So contrast effects can cause you to overvalue someone or something who is or which is merely adequate, and you may commit deeply because your reference point was so painful. So this was like a heaven. Was it really a heaven? It was the other way too. A person who has always been surrounded by highly successful, highly achieving friends may look at a genuinely solid business opportunity and dismiss it as small simply because their contrast point is set too high. Or maybe looking at their parents' marriage or at what they can afford in their homes, and they will discard a decent man or woman who they should have married or been in relationship with, and it will be absolutely perfect. So how do we fix it? And this is what we always think of, not just the explanation. Now, there are three moves that can be powerful and practical. There are other moves, but we don't want to exceed three at every point. So number one, evaluate the options in isolation. Don't reference it against any comparison. So before comparing anything, a candidate, a price, a business deal, a relationship, an employee, an employer, assess it on its own merits. An opportunity, assess it on its own merits. Write down what makes it good or bad without referencing anything else. Build your independent judgment first, then compare. Comparison is not bad, but check it at its own, merits first of all. Now, question what is being placed next to your options. That's number two. So, in any sales situation, any negotiation, any pitch, ask yourself, what have I just been shown before this? What have I just been shown after this? Is that contrast influencing how I feel about what I am seeing right now? Awareness alone can break that spell that has been cast upon you by what you've been shown before. and remove you from the shackles of the context and contrast effects. Number three, reset your reference points regularly in business. Benchmark against industry standard, not just your immediate competitors in relationships. Now, when I was a lecturer in the university, I always go, even as a young person, that time universities don't have websites in Nigeria. In fact, that time, internet wasn't there. There's what we use, Rainbow Net. It was very costly and very problematic, but I spent almost all my money on that. I always go to Harvard website, Oxford website. I always check all the professors I see there. What are they doing? What else do they do? I found out that they are all consultants to multinational corporations, United Nations, they're consultant to Microsoft, Apple, they're consultant to, all kinds of people. So I was not using my colleagues or my lecturers who taught me, my deans and my HODs. I wasn't using them at my contrast or contest. Yes, my competitors or what I contrast with. I was using those other people. I say I love to be like this professor in Harvard who is consulting for so and so organization. So it's very important that you don't benchmark yourself against mediocrity. Benchmark yourself against industry standard. That thing helped me so much that I started doing something for myself. So your immediate competitors may not be your real competitors. In relationship, define what you genuinely need and deserve based on your values, not on how bad your last experience was. Your reference point determines your standard. Guard it very closely. That is why in Africa, because we have so much bad governance, when somebody does a road, we know with his money, he wants to commission it, spend money again, call you to come and dance. And then, the lecturers are saying, but he has tried. What of the last person? What of the last governor? What of the last president? So here is something that I want you to always think about. It will help to stop you in your tracks. Now, most of your preferences are not really yours. They are the product of what someone else chose to place beside your options. The price that you saw and it felt fair enough. Was it fair enough? Or was it just cheaper than the outrageous thing shown to you first? The partner that you settled for, you're about settling for, were they truly right for you, or did they simply look good next to what hurt you before or where you were coming from? You need to always reappraise. The business opportunity you dismissed, was it truly small, or were you comparing it to an unrealistic standard and greed and envy and jealousy? Now, when you master the contrast effects, you will stop letting placements make your decision. You will understand how to make dispassionate decisions in spite of the contrast. You start making them from a place of clarity, those decisions, from a place of value, from a place of independent judgment. Not if you can't win them, you join them. That is the difference between a life you designed yourself and a life that was quietly, surreptitiously, and manipulatively designed for you. So I advise you, see clearly, compare wisely, choose powerfully. Thank you for listening in. This is bias number 13. Every bias we've uncovered is another layer of mental freedom, another layer of right thinking unlocked. Now, share this today with someone in your network who is making a contrast driven decision. And I want to invite you, check the comment section, click on the link there and see Dr. Carly Cussons masterclasses and webinar series. They will help you to become more, think clearly, achieve more, and multiply your effort. Instead of struggling through, you will see that you have force multipliers. Algorithm recognition, algorithm crafting, and algorithm usage are the things you must know. If you learn how to recognize algorithms and patterns, learn how to use those algorithms and patterns, and learn how to create your own algorithms and patterns, you are in for a beautiful life. See you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.